MS-13, Mara Salvatrucha detailed overview, El Salvador/USA. 1. Origins and formation. Founded, 1980s, Los Angeles, California. By whom? Salvadoran immigrants, many of whom were fleeing the civil war in El Salvador. Purpose: initially for protection from other gangs in LA, especially Mexican-American gangs. 2. Name meaning. Mara, Central American slang for gang. Salva, short for Salvadoran. Trucha, slang for clever or alert, also street slang for lookout. 3. Expansion to El Salvador. After the U.S. began deporting gang members in the 1990s, many ended up back in El Salvador. These deportees took gang culture and structure with them, and MS-13 expanded rapidly across Central America. 4. Areas of operation. U.S.A., Los Angeles, New York, Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, Boston, Houston, and more. El Salvador, nationwide, with strongholds in urban and rural areas. Other countries, Honduras, Guatemala, Mexico, and some presence in Spain and Canada. 5. Structure and organization. Decentralized, operates in semi-autonomous cliques or programs. Leaders, often imprisoned members called ruthless, still exert control. Recruitment, focuses on young, vulnerable individuals, both in schools and on the streets. 6. Criminal activities. Drug trafficking. Extortion, especially in El Salvador, targeting small businesses and transport drivers. Human trafficking. Murder and violent assaults. Weapons smuggling. Sex trafficking. Racketeering, in the U.S. 7. Violence and tactics. Known for extreme brutality, use of machetes, torture, and public executions. Enforces loyalty and discipline through violence. Controls entire communities through fear and coercion. 8. Political and social impact. El Salvador has helped turn El Salvador into one of the most violent countries, per capita, for years. Directly impacts migration, many flee to escape gang violence. Constantly engaged in conflict with rival gang Barrio 18. At times has attempted truces with the government, though these have mostly failed or led to political fallout. 9. U.S. government response. Designated as a transnational criminal organization, TCO. Subject of FBI and ICE operations. Targeted with RICO, Racketeer-Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, prosecutions. Homeland Security and DOJ task forces dedicated to disrupting their networks. 10. Recent developments, as of 2023 to 2024. El Salvador, President Nayib Bukele launched a massive crackdown, arresting over 75,000 alleged gang members and building a huge prison, terrorism confinement center. Controversies. Human rights groups have accused the Salvadoran government of mass detentions, torture, and denial of due process. U.S.A. Ongoing arrests and trials, especially focused on leadership and cross-border crimes. 11. Internal culture and symbols. MS-13 has a distinct internal culture, steeped in loyalty, violence, and street codes. Symbols and tattoos. Tattoos often feature MS-13, devil horns, or the number 503, El Salvador's country code. Face, neck, and hand tattoos signify rank and commitment. Newer recruits are sometimes discouraged from tattooing for secrecy. Rituals and codes. Initiation often involves jumping in, a 13-second beating by members. Women may be initiated by violence or coerced sex, depending on the clique. Leaving the gang is often punishable by death unless through prison conversion or protection deals. Language. Use of Salvadoran Spanish and gang slang, e.g., paro for mission, jura for police. Messages between members often use coded writing or hidden meanings. 12. International influence and operations. Though born in LA, MS-13 now operates across borders as a transnational criminal enterprise. El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala, Northern Triangle. These countries face the brunt of MS-13's extortion and violence. Control entire neighborhoods, public transportation, and even schools. Infiltrated local police, politics, and correctional facilities. Mexico. Acts as middlemen or muscle for Mexican cartels in drug and human smuggling. Have fought with or allied with groups like the Zetas, Sinaloa, and CJNG depending on the region. United States. Clusters in major metro areas, often involved in street-level crimes and drug sales. Operates with a low profile, unlike Central America, they try to avoid attracting law enforcement attention. Some members work legally or hold green cards, others enter as undocumented immigrants. 13. MS-13 vs. Other gangs. Barrio 18, 18th Street Gang. Main rival in Central America. Also founded in LA, composed of Mexicans, Salvadorans, and others. Brutal turf wars between the two dominate urban violence in El Salvador. Differences. MS-13 is more hierarchical in El Salvador. Barrio 18 is often larger, especially in Honduras. Each gang controls different zones, and crossing borders is often fatal. 14. The Salvadoran government crackdown. Under President Nayib Bukele, El Salvador declared a state of exception in 2022, continuing into 2024. Key measures. Suspension of constitutional rights, e.g., no warrant required, mass arrests. Construction of the Secot, Terrorism Confinement Center, a mega-prison holding tens of thousands. Massive police and military deployments to gang-controlled areas. Results. Dramatic drop in homicide rates. Popular support remains high, over 80%, despite international criticism. Accusations of wrongful imprisonment, overcrowded jails, and rights abuses. 15. Future outlook. In El Salvador. Short-term, gang visibility is at an all-time low, many leaders imprisoned or in hiding. Long-term, risk of radicalization within prisons or a new wave of violence. In the U.S. Ongoing federal pressure may reduce MS-13's influence. However, poverty, broken families, and migration issues still fuel recruitment. Some cliques are shifting to more secretive operations, less reliant on tattoos or flashy presence. Globally. Increasing connections with organized crime in Europe, Spain and Italy, where Salvadoran diaspora exists. Digital communications and encrypted apps make it harder for law enforcement to track orders. 16. Financial structure and funding sources. How MS-13 makes money. 1. Extortion, la renta. The gang's primary income source in Central America. Demands weekly or monthly fees from businesses, transport companies, vendors, and residents. Non-payment often leads to death threats or attacks. 2. Drug trafficking. Not large-scale international traffickers like cartels. Act as local dealers and couriers. In some cases, they protect routes for larger drug organizations. 3. Human trafficking and smuggling. Smuggle migrants from Central America through Mexico to the U.S. Charge high fees and often exploit vulnerable individuals along the way. 4. Prostitution rings. Operate forced sex work networks. Women and girls are coerced or trafficked into these operations. 5. Robbery, auto theft, and arms dealing. Supplementary income streams. Guns often traded or stolen across borders. 6. Prison-based operations. Members behind bars continue to direct extortion and crime via smuggled phones or corrupt guards. 17. Use of technology. Communication. Encrypted messaging apps like WhatsApp, Signal. Burner phones or jail phones for organizing hits or collecting renta. Social media used for recruitment, threats, or coordination. Surveillance. Use lookouts, posts, in communities with radios or phones to monitor police. Financial tech. Some use bank accounts or remittance systems, like Western Union, to launder or move money. Growing use of digital currencies for anonymous transactions. 18. Legal and policing challenges. U.S.A. RICO laws have enabled long-term prison sentences for MS-13 leaders. Immigration enforcement has been used to target suspected members, though this can also cause backlash or wrongful profiling. Undercover operations and gang databases are often used but raise privacy concerns. El Salvador and Central America. Corruption within police and government makes enforcement difficult. Judges and prosecutors are often threatened or attacked. Witnesses frequently disappear or refuse to testify due to fear. International cooperation. The FBI, Interpol, and regional task forces share intel. The U.S. Treasury has sanctioned several MS-13 leaders and labeled the group as a transnational criminal organization, TCO.